Here at the Rant, we pride ourselves in our ability to keep up to date with all the interesting things going on around us.
And as the year comes to a close, we're going to take a walk down memory lane and discuss 5 big things that happened in 2016.
So, to start off with number 5, we're going to talk about phones. And particularly exploding phones produced by a little company called Samsung.
I don't know if you guys know, but Samsung does account for nearly 60% of South Korea's just economy. They don't just make phones, they make tanks too, which is kind of random.
So, I mean, maybe they've mixed up the technology, the tank technology, and they just put it in the phone somehow.
Yeah, so the Note 7 was like a really big phone that everyone was looking forward to. Well, the Android people were looking forward to because
I wasn't.
Because it's a big phone, has all these cool gadgets and stuff. But then some had a defective battery, and when you would charge it, it could trigger an explosive response. But then on the flip side, you have the iPhone community and their 7th generation.
The biggest thing with this phone is that there is no headphone jack.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were complaining about it, and are probably still complaining about it because, and I agree, that Apple has basically become a monopoly in not only the computer world but in the phone world as well. I mean, they can basically just like put out a brick and say it's the new phone and people will buy it.
Like, to even add to like their reasoning, I was reading that part of the reason why they did it was because everyone's kind of catering to the waterproof phones, or at least water resistant phones, and one of the best ways is to cut down on the amount of holes you have in your phone. Yeah.
So, and then lastly, the Google phone.
Yeah, the Pixel. So that one, it's kind of made a huge splash in the Android world. People love the idea of open sourcing their phones and to be able to customize them as much as they want, and it's become like one of the most in-demand phones of the year, which is interesting. Like it's usurping the throne from Samsung, and now it's Google versus iPhone or Apple, which is kind of what it's always been, right?
Yeah. And I mean, Google's already taken over the world. Yeah. Let's be honest. You know, having a Google phone just, you know, perpetuates that idea of like Google's gonna know everything about you regardless.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you buy their phone or not. They know where you are at any given time. They know how long it's gonna take you to get home, but the longer that they try to be in this phone business, the better their phones will be. Moving on to number 4, celebrity deaths. So every year we have celebrities pass away in the music world, in the movie world,
everywhere.
Yeah, in the whole world. And this year there's been 3 deaths that kind of affected us a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit more than the others.
Yeah. Because there's been so many, but these ones are like personal to us, and they actually had some impact on us on some level.
The first one is David Bowie.
I've been a big fan of David Bowie ever since I was a kid.
Even if you don't know who David Bowie is, you know the song to some extent. Like whether like a lyric, whether just the beat or a harmony or whatever, you know.
If you watch Shrek, you've heard of it. The one thing that I will remember him for is his role in Labyrinth as the Troll King.
Goblin. Not to forget though, he did sell, you know, millions and millions of albums in the world. Yeah.
Especially at the time he did it before the internet age, and that's what makes it so impressive.
Exactly. Next up we have Prince, whose passing was very tragic. Just the way that he was discovered in his home.
Yeah, he died really young, especially in terms of celebrity. When you think of celebrity deaths, you usually think, oh, they're like at least in their 80s or 90s.
It's very unfortunate. He did leave a bunch of great music behind. Yeah. And then lastly is Harper Lee. She wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, which was her only published novel up until a few years ago when she released the early draft of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, it's been adapted into movies.
Yeah, it's a very good movie.
lots of bands name themselves after things in the movie. Like there's a band called Atticus Finch. There's a band called To Kill a Mockingbird, actually.
Yeah. So she was a great writer, and
it kind of goes to show that quality is not always like you don't have to be Prince and have a million songs. You could just have one really, really good one.
Yeah.
And that
that's true.
and that's what Harper Lee did. She had the one really, well, I haven't read Go Set a Watchman, which, you know, that's also Mercury territory because if I recall correctly,
she didn't want.
she didn't want people to read it, and it was really hard to discern whether or not she actually gave the okay, or if it was part of her like her decaying state of being when they just took it as an okay anyway.
Yeah. All right. So next up at number 3, we have Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
We've talked about this in our other videos. So if you want to know more about what we think about the actual game, go watch our other video of the top 6 Pokemon spin-off games.
Yeah. Pokemon Go. Who would have thought that Pokemon would make a public statement twice in our lifetime?
Yeah.
But once in the early 90s, and then again with this, the huge nostalgia trip that is Pokemon Go. It really, really encapsulates a lot of that whole catching Pokemon, the thing that we really wanted to do as kids. And I think that's really what set that Pokemon mania into effect. For
exactly. And it created a lot of new fans. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of the old fans came back. So, you know, everybody was playing Pokemon Go. Next up, we have, you know, the Game Freak actual Pokemon generator where you actually get to create your own Pokemon.
That'd be great. I would love to make a Mimikyu type Pokemon.
Yeah, that would be scary.
But I really like that game for what it is. It's fun. Definitely one of the only times that I've used my phone for something besides Facebook and YouTube.
There you go. Pokemon Go. If you haven't downloaded it, go for it.
Yeah. Our next on our list is Kanye West. Kanye's been through a rough year.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least a really dramatic year.
Super rough for him.
So he released his album. One of his songs, Famous, actually makes it pass out the idea that Kanye was instrumental in Taylor's fame.
Yeah.
And that, in and of itself, that was already like a powder keg waiting to go off. He played the song to Taylor, allegedly. She said it was okay. He released it, then all of a sudden, she's upset about it.
Yeah. I think that Kanye was going to have a breakdown eventually.
No, yeah.
You know, because I think that Kanye actually believes that he's like the greatest thing that's ever happened to
I don't
Earth.
think so.
I think he does. And I think that kind of seeing that he's not making as much money as he used to. I mean, he had like million selling albums in the past. And then I don't think that his marriage to Kim K helped him very much. I think that was the reason that he broke down. Maybe he was just like, why is she making more money than me and she's not doing anything?
I mean, he had a lot of things going on. Another thing to remember is that he has the contract with Adidas, I believe, to release his Yeezys shoes, one of the top selling shoes, actually, in the hip hop shoe like community. Really, really obscure type of shoe, like a really obscure type of like buyer, but it's actually a really successful shoe.
Yeah, it's a fashion faux pas. I wouldn't wear those.
And then I wouldn't wear them either. But it's a trendy thing. And then on top of that, he also has his own fashion line. And then on top of releasing his album, which for some reason it took him nearly 2 years to make this album, and it's, to be honest, it's kind of a disappointing Kanye album. It's so varied in such a bad way where it doesn't really have balance or structure or just a coherent message. Usually any good album has variety because they're new to the music, or it has a really succinct message where they really have something to say. This one is so random, so like, oh, this is an okay song, this is an okay song, that it really kind of just felt like a greatest hits of songs that aren't that good. All of these things contributed to his breakdown. Unfortunately, he had to cancel his tour. And the one show that I was actually going to go to is the one where he stopped in the middle of the show.
And broke down.
The one that I was going to go to, I kind of wish I was there because I would have got to see Kanye break down and I'd have got my money back. But
I would have just been like, I don't care. If you're going to have a breakdown, don't have a concert that day. I'm not interested. I just want to see live music. Don't make me pay $300 to sit at the very back of the forum and then just watch you break down.
Then he refunded everybody, though. But the Kanye drama is strong in this year. So you know, if anything, if you didn't like Kanye, it was a good opportunity to grab some popcorn and kind of watch him burn.
I was watching him burn while I was playing Taylor Swift.
But if you're a Kanye fan like me, you're worried about your troubled star.
Eating ice cream, crying. Yeah,
listening to Yeezus and wondering why the new album isn't like that.
I'd rather listen to 808s and Heartbreak.
Which is the best album, actually. Yeah.
Moving on from the Kanye drama. In at number one for the top stories of this year is the Donald Trump election.
Yeah,
or presidency.
Yeah, that presidential campaign, like in itself, was kind of like a really interesting reality TV show. We actually got a lot of misinformation from the media, like throughout the entirety of the campaign. We got a lot of mixed messages from Donald Trump and all of his opponents, both when he wasn't even the Republican candidate and when it was just like basically him and then Hillary Clinton, Jill Stein, and Gary Johnson. But it's really about like just kind of like the cheese man, the drama between Hillary and Trump, and it became a popularity contest, and it was both scary and it's kind of alarming. Well, I guess it's kind of
well, I mean, just all the people that came out to support him and all the hate that was spewing from these people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for you supporting a certain person over a certain belief system, but supporting someone just because you hate a certain group of people, I think is just wrong. And I get that for some people, minorities are a threat. For some people, immigrants are a threat. Yeah. But historically, looking at it, I mean, who brought the immigrants into the country in the first place?
The British.
So I was going to say people who didn't want to do the menial jobs.
Oh, right? Well, yeah, that too.
Which British people at first. But I don't even want to go into a field and like grow plants or whatever. I don't want to, it's not my dream job. But somebody has to do it. If you're going to basically say that you're going to deport like millions and millions of people on taxpayers' money, it's not going to be cheap, first of all. Yeah. So what's going to happen? You have to raise taxes because you need to pay these people to get deported. People are getting free trips to Mexico. I mean, it's, I'm kind of being a little satirical, but it's a little bit scary, and just this whole campaign. I mean, as a minority, as someone who has friends that are undocumented, as someone who has family members who are undocumented, this was very disconcerting. And I wasn't scared for myself, but I was scared for all those people who are targets now.
I've actually been more scared of both sides. The thing that I've always kind of gravitated towards the middle, because when you're too far one way, sometimes you become a lot like the other side. So then what I saw with this, especially after the immediate reaction from the people who are hardcore Hillary supporters, is that they immediately kind of just insulted the people who voted for Trump, regardless of their reasons, and kind of just denounced them and said that they're evil people. And I saw this on Facebook. I saw this in real life. And it really made me nervous as someone who advocated for a third party, because I didn't agree with either the two main parties, because I thought they were both such malicious people that neither of them deserve to be anywhere besides prison. A lot of the people who are kind of rallying against them, besides the people who are undocumented, you have a huge pool of people who were part of the group, the people that didn't actually vote in the election at all.
I think it's very important to vote. For us to say that it's not important to vote is just basically being blind or brushing things off, because it counts. Every vote really does count.
Yeah.
And like you said, the age demographic that was least present in this voting cycle was the college age, 18 to 30 people. And those were the people that were out protesting, that were blocking the freeway, not letting me get to work. And and I'm not saying don't stand up for what you believe in. We have to stand up for what we believe in. And
also vote.
But you should also vote. You can't get angry over a result if you didn't participate in the democratic process.
Yeah.
You just can't do that. At the same time, it's also important to understand that racism is going to exist.
Yeah.
Regardless of what time period you're in, regardless of where you are, it's going to exist. But even if you're racist, you have to be respectful toward other people.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the things that this election allowed us to get rid of, respect.
Yeah, I feel in a lot of ways we regressed in every kind of thing that we built up. Like, people like to frame it as being too politically correct, but I think of it as people starting to accept that there's different kinds of sexuality, that there's different kinds of people who believe in different religions, and there's also just different races. I feel like all this acceptance that we've been kind of building up over time really washed away with this election, and it came from both sides, mostly the Trump side.
Hopefully things don't turn worse. And, as like I said, someone who who has friends and family that are undocumented, I am going to stand by them and fight for their rights and fight for the disenfranchised communities. I think that, as American citizens, I think that that's all right,
And it's not even just that. I'm like, a lot of things are kind of making me nervous about especially his decision and who to implement into this judicial system, into his cabinet. You got one of the biggest people who deny that climate change is happening is one of the people that's kind of having an integral role in the way we kind of manage our pollutants and all this stuff. And that makes me more scared than Trump, because in a lot of ways I'm kind of hoping checks and balances kind of prevent him from doing anything large. But then I thought that would help Obama from doing anything large, and he did Obamacare and have to pay for that.
Yeah, oh man, that's a whole different topic of discussion. But yeah, I mean, let's hope for the best. Yeah. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that he doesn't become like a dictator. Yeah. All right, so those are our top 5 big things that happened in 2016.
Yeah, what's some of your biggest things that happened, science-related, politics-related, or just video games?
Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to follow us on Twitter @TheRant20. Follow us on Facebook @Rant Entertainment. And hit that subscribe button, like our videos. See you guys next time.